Yo, what's going on, guys? And today I wanted to talk about Atlanta. You guys know I like making these videos about Atlanta. You guys have been a good fan base to me, so I always do enjoy giving it back to y'all. And this was an interesting game, in my opinion, due to the fact that Onyeka Okongwu was, in my opinion, the story here. We'll talk about everybody, but I really think we're finally this year can say Onyeka Okongwu is achieving the potential, and it's there, baby. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the Hawks as a whole, a team that's currently 34 and 36, seventh in the Eastern Conference. And I've talked about it. I think they're building something in the right direction. The pieces are there. And if they can really this offseason put some things in order, I'm not going to say they're contenders, but it'll be interesting. And look, since Onyeka Okongwu has been the starter or last 15 games, he's been averaging 16 points and 10.5 rebounds on 43% from the field, 57%. 57% from the field, 43% from three. And this is a team that finally figured out, I always said what they needed to do was put size around Trey. And with obviously Jalen Johnson out since like a third of the season, and them trading DeAndre Hunter and Bogdan, it's a little bit of a new look team, but Dyson Daniels, 6'6", 6'10" Jalen Johnson when healthy. You got yourself George Niang, 6'8", who I think they should keep because he gives them a consistent floor spacer. Terrence Mann is a good defender, 6'5". Vit Krejci is 6'8". Don Barlow, 6'9". I like both of those. And Clint Capella is clearly like lost balance, lost a step. So I think what they're doing there is just kind of like probably going to move off him. I don't think anybody really wanted him. And yeah, it's just he's really slow. No offense. I don't know what's going on with Larry Nance. Can someone explain that situation? But outside of that, yeah, I think you see the pieces there. I wonder if they'll bring Carousel LeVert back. He's someone that I in theory liked joining this team. I thought he was going to be a guy who could be a solid contributor for them. To me, I think it's interesting how it's all playing out for the Hawks as their team, the last 15 games since the All-Star break, have had a mixed bag. I think they've gone 8-7, 119 points per night. So they're an interesting squad because they've won 6 out of the last 8, and their 2 losses are the Clippers and Nets. I know this Warriors team was not healthy, but I think they're heading in the right direction. I think they're looking for the pieces. Like, I know for a fact that they had a deal in place for Brandon Ingram, and the reason why was they thought they had a good team this year, and they were already looking to move Bogdan and Clint Capella and DeAndre Hunter, and they thought Brandon Ingram would be a great rental. They'd sign him to a deal. I think they wanted to give him 36 a year or 38. He ended up choosing Toronto because there's more money, and the whole hiccup was Atlanta didn't want to give him as much money as Toronto did. And they were like, okay, Brandon, you fill in Jalen Johnson's role. We can make a playoff push. And then in a year or so down the road, we'll trade you. And that ended up not happening. But they clearly are looking for situations like that. And they continue want to get tall wings who can shoot. And I think they want to get a bona fide second scorer. Because let's just talk about the last 15 games. Trae Young, 25.5 points per game. Caris LeVert, 16. 15 and almost 16 points per game for Onyeka and 14. So like Dyson Daniels is really cool as like a 4th or 5th leading scorer. I think Zachary Richardson, 13.5 points. George Niang is your 6th, 12.6. 7, Terrence Mann. Like that's really not bad. Where you have what you're missing right there. If I take a screenshot of what this looks like and you guys can kind of have an idea of what the Hawks rotation should look like. And you put in Jalen Johnson in here as the main guy that we could argue is missing from this equation as of right now. I think you like I'm about to show you guys can make the honest assumption that okay, Jalen Johnson was about like an 18-10 guy, so you put him up there in front of Caris LeVert. Now Caris, I don't think is going to be back, but out of the 10 guys in that rotation, maybe you replace Clint Capella's minutes with somebody, but Vit, Garrison Matthews, kind of both like they're situational depending on the matchup. Veet's been getting more minutes lately. Terrence Mann, I think they like, and he's a Swiss Army knife. George Niang's a floor spacer. Reese Shea, Dyson Daniels, Jalen Johnson, Onyeka Okongwu, Trae Young. Karis LeVert's the question mark. But as I've said, if you can bring in a veteran, somebody who's going to be able to help you go ahead and put points on the board, I think that's the biggest thing to me is just finding that. So that's where I want to hear your guys' opinion. What do you guys think on that? Sorry, also, I just blasted you guys probably with music in the most disrespectful manner ever. But yeah, I think that's one of those things that when you look at this, I do sit here and wonder, okay, if we're trying to build this team, especially if you look at free agents this offseason, 2025, NBA. Give me 1 second. We'll go to Hoops Hype and check that out. But the whole thought is, yeah, you would want to potentially sign and trade somebody. I just don't. I know Julius Randle is going to be available, but I just don't think he would fit this team. I know DeAndre Ayton via trade. And that's another thing is that we start looking around. I also don't like Jonathan Kuminga. I think Santi Alama, who's a great athlete, who's developed a three-point shot with loads of effort, makes winning plays, would be a perfect fit for them. With Jalen Johnson, it might not work, but the idea is there. Now, a guy who I don't think they're trading Michael Porter Jr., but if he was to be traded, and I don't think there's a sweepstake guy that they would be able to get into. Yeah, like Andrew Wiggins might become available, and he's somebody that I think they could have interest in. I just don't think Andrew would want to move again. He just had a kid and everything. Octavius Caldwell-Pope would be, but then we're just going down, and that's the whole thing is like I don't think they're like talent ceiling raising type guy. I don't know if that's a guy who there's going to be someone available like that. I wouldn't trade for Paul George. And outside of that, there isn't an obvious answer, to say the least. And that's where I would come here and say, you need to figure out who or what is going to be the future. Now, I'm lying. There's one guy that they could go after, Zion Williamson. Zion might be traded this offseason, and he's technically the hometown kid, so he is somebody that they could go after as an option, but I'm not like ecstatic about it. What do you guys think? I think the biggest thing here to take away from today's video is Onyeka Okongwu's development, so I like it.